miss the snow and ice, the angel blanket, a world of white, the reason Santa needs his sleigh. But I'm hoping for a miracle. Christmas Day I'll see snowflakes here in Miami. You know I miss the snow and ice, the angel blanket, a world of white, the reason Santa needs his sleigh. Christmas in Miami, Christmas.
The hot sunny beaches, the Christmas trees, the sky blue sea and Christmas pudding. You can't put them three ingredients together and get your head around that, can you?
There's one thing you missed out.
What's that?
When you said the sky blue sea, how about the sea blue sky?
Oh, right. So Fred, well done mate. It's a fantastic song. I love that, and that's why I thought I'd play it for you people tonight. You people out there, from the boiler room to the boardroom, from the warehouse to the wards, all of you down there, I hope you're listening and listening good, because we've got our guests coming online. Say hello to Fred. Hello Fred.
Hello. Hello.
Say hello
everybody.
to Norman. You might hear him in the background. Norman!
Hello!
Hello. Thanks very much for coming down the line, boys. It's very good of you tonight, splashing through all the puddles. Whereabouts do you come from tonight, Fred?
Aspel in Wigan.
Aspel in Wigan, eh? Fantastic. And I believe Aspel's on a kind of a hill, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
we're protected from the water.
Yeah, you're not. You're too high up. Is your house overlooking Winter Hill, the big television transmitter?
Well, you can see it from roundabout.
Yeah. I know it's nice and windy up there at times, isn't it?
Certainly is.
I know. So we've got you, Fred. We want to know all about your bands from the 60s to begin with, and how you got into the business. Now you're a fellow drummer, well respected. Drummers respect each other, not like other musicians, and I don't know what that is. Anyway, what we'll do is take Fred back to his preschool days. What were you doing to get into drumming in the first place, Fred?
Well, I come from a musical family. Both my parents played instruments. My mum played the piano, taught the piano, played the organ in clubland. My father played the drums, he played the xylophone, he was a big brass band member as well. So music was always in the house, music was always in the family. And of course, growing up with music, really I had no choice but to follow in my parents' footsteps, which was very handy, because obviously in the early 60s the big beat boom started.
Absolutely.
Everybody wanted a guitar, everybody wanted to be in a band. I personally wanted to play the guitar, but I seemed to be able to play the drums without trying. In other words, it seemed to be in my blood, probably passed down from my father. So I started when I was 14, bought a cheap set of drums, with a couple of friends we formed a band in Horwich, which was where I was living then, and we were called the Spectre 4.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's typical good band work. At 14 years old, that's great. I was 17 before I even started, but I
We went
played.
on our first booking
Yeah.
and we took the equipment on the bus
Yeah,
to Adlington.
did you? Whereabouts in Adlington? I used to
It
live
was
in
the,
Adlington for a while. So
Ambulance Hall.
oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's still
Railway
there.
Road.
Yeah, it's the community centre now.
Yeah,
We call it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah,
And then we were playing nothing much, just doing whatever everybody did. In those days, you were just happy to play. Money never came into it.
yeah.
People just wanted to play.
I know.
Stand in front of a mirror, pretend you had a guitar if you didn't have one.
And what about your influences at the time? Who were you listening to be
Basically,
inspired?
I've always been inspired by instrumentals, and the Shadows really did it for me.
Yeah,
You know, I've been a Shadows fan all my life. I've got every Shadows LP they've ever made up in
Right.
the loft. I've met them. I got an LP autographed at the Cranberry Fold in Darwin.
Who? Hank?
Hank Bruce, Brian Bennett, and John Ross.
You've met them all.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. So it was the Shadows that influenced me,
Yeah.
and right up to this day,
Yeah.
I'm still a big Shadows fan.
It did start it kicked a lot of stuff off for me as well. I must admit that it was Tony Meehan and then latterly Brian Bennett
Yeah.
who just kind of I so admired and wanted to emulate on a drum kit, which I could never do, and I still couldn't do what they do now, even now. But such were the quality of the musicians of that era. But like you say, it kick-started us, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's the main thing about it.
Well, we just carried on playing wherever we could. You know, there was a lot of coffee bars and youth clubs in those days, and people were
certainly
just
were.
happy to play
Yeah,
and see people dance and enjoy themselves.
yeah.
And then I got a little bit ambitious. I saw an advert, well, somebody saw it and told me about it, that Johnny D and the Detours were looking for a drummer, and they were Bolton's top band and had been for some time.
Yeah,
So I plucked up enough courage to go for an audition. I took my dad's drums because mine weren't up to it,
fantastic.
and I went to the back room of a pub on Chorley Road called the Nelson, and there I waited my turn, went in, played 3 or 4 songs, then went out for the decision. And luckily Alan Johnson, who was the leader of the band then, came out, shook me hand, he said, "The job's yours, Fred. You're playing on Saturday in Stoke. There's a list of our numbers."
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You can't. It doesn't come any better than that, does it? I
So
mean,
I had to go
you're
with
in and you're on.
Yeah,
is
you're
is
in.
basically in it. Yeah. You've no time for rehearsal even. Yeah.
No.
But you must have known. He must have been impressed enough to know. He knew all the bloody drumming tracks, didn't he?
Well, they picked the songs. I didn't know what they were going to throw at me. But
Yeah.
I just knew the drumming.
Yeah.
I'm not Buddy Rich. I never will be. Well, nobody ever will be, in
No,
my
they-
opinion.
no.
But I can hold the band together and keep time, and I think basically that's what they were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was very lucky.
Yeah, and just to fast forward a little bit, you've brought a track, haven't you, to play for us, and that's from your Shazam days, which is your duo days.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Shazam a little bit later. So we'll play this little track to just give you an example of Fred's style of drumming on this, and here's a compliment to Ringo.
Get back to where you once belonged.
That's Shazam and Get Back. What a nice little cover that is. And what I'm told here, whilst we were listening to that, is that that's Fred Holt's voice as well as drumming. So there you go, multi-talented musicians we've got here in Lancashire. We don't know we're born, do we? With all this talent. And another piece of talent is sat here now and by his microphone, waiting patiently for me to ask him a few questions, is Norman Kay. Welcome, Norman.
Hiya.
What I've got to ask you is, come on, what's your musical background? And you take us forward from the, you know, your short leg trouser days at school. What were you doing back then?
Well, at school it was all Elvis on 70, what was it?
78.
78, weren't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I had
very
every
much
one
so.
of them, and well, my sister did, and I knocked them all off sideboard.
Did you?
Smashed them all, yeah.
And
With a
they-
fortune now.
They weren't very strong, were they?
No.
Yeah.
But I started when I was an apprentice at the Havilland
Yeah.
in Lostock there,
Yeah.
and we formed a group called Circuit 4
Yeah.
with a mate of mine who was also an apprentice.
Yeah.
Going out for £7 a night, which was a fortune then.
It was.
For 5 of us, yeah.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
And then I joined the D Tours,
Yeah.
where I refused to be called Johnny D.
Right, tell me about that. So, who was Johnny D for a start?
Well, there were about, how many were there, Fred? There were
4 Johnny D's.
Four
There were four Johnny
Johnny
D's.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was the
right.
4th.
I was the 4th, but I said
Yeah.
I'm not being Johnny D. It was just the D Tours.
No.
I've never been an upfront person. I'd rather be in a group with
Yeah.
people.
A collective
you know.
of sorts. Yeah.
So we did that. We toured all over the place. We were quite good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, aye.
And then one or two things moved on, and we left. Fred went. Who did he go with then?
7th Avenue.
With 7th Avenue, yeah.
Yes.
Then
yes.
I joined 7th Avenue, yeah. And they made me buy a keyboard, which I couldn't play, still can't.
Right.
Synthesizer.
Yeah.
And we did a
Live and Let Die. So
Live and Let Die, and my bit was the keyboard bit.
Did it?
That I never learned because there was no interest in it. And they all said, if you don't learn that, you're going to be out. That's it. So I tried again, never learned it. So Fred said, well, what we'll do, we'll put all the notes on the keys with numbers on. So I'm sat at the back there, yeah.
Yeah.
So it come to my bit, and Fred's at the side of me on the drums, and what does he do? He blows them all off.
So all the little numbers were all on the floor.
So
were
I
they?
didn't play it again.
Right.
Anyway, I finally learned it. They said, you're going to learn it, you're going to learn it. So I learned it, and it came to my bit, which I knew, and I've got long legs, me. I'm 6'4".
Yeah, all right, yeah.
So I'm sat there waiting, and it come to my bit, and my knee knocked the main switch off.
Oh,
So still didn't
these
play.
they're fantastic little
Yeah.
stories. These.
Yeah, and then we moved. We got a residency at the Last Drop then for about 20 odd years, weren't we there?
Yeah, this is when you went into Streetlight,
Yeah.
is it? Yeah.
Well, we became Streetlight because we didn't have a name. We weren't. Oh, we
Yeah.
went and played. That was
Yeah.
it. And so many of the guests who came, it was a dinner dance. It was.
Yeah.
They came and said, "What's the group's name like?" To the management, they said, "Well, they don't have a name." So the management insisted that we got a name. So we went through all the stupid ones, of course, that you do.
Yeah.
And then we just come up with that. That's all
So
Streetlight.
Streetlight was your.
But
Your name of the
at the
active.
Last Drop, we did everything from waltzes, quick steps to status quo, and everything in between,
Right.
which you had to do.
So yeah, not just straightforward kind of, I suppose, bopping and
Yeah.
jigging, but
Yeah.
you had to do some
We
strict.
played music for listening
Modern.
to while they were eating.
Yeah,
Then we did rock stuff, slow
Yeah.
ones as well. Yeah.
yeah. You have to be complete all-round entertainers,
That's right,
in other
yeah.
words, don't you? You know.
Yeah.
And you-
We're quite successful though, weren't we? Fred?
vast
Right.
repertoire.
Yeah.
great stuff, and I believe you kind of you were kind of going in separate ways on this, and how did you two meet up? You met up, did you, in Johnny D and the D Tours? Or
Well,
not?
yeah, I was already in.
Yeah,
And the lad I was working with, he put Fred's name forward.
Yeah.
So I said to the lads, I've got a lad coming.
Yeah.
And Fred got the job, and that's how we met.
And that's
how
how
old
you
were you
met.
then, Fred?
17.
Fred was 17.
Yeah.
I'll be about
Amazing.
20.
Yeah, and latterly you got to sing on a song on a track together, didn't you? Is it Jezebel you got to sing on?
No, we used to do. We did Jezebel in different. We've always done it.
Right.
Sometimes Fred singing it and me singing it. You see,
Right.
but in the various bands or whatever, we've always sung it.
And we've got a track here called Jezebel, haven't
Well,
we?
this is Fred's track.
This is Fred.
Yeah.
Again, taking the limelight,
Yeah,
stealing all the limelight
Exactly. Yeah.
from this organ player who had all these bits and pieces on his, all lined up with his key names and numbers or whatever you call it, letters on them, and then they all finished.
Well, yeah, I'm well enough as it even
and
now.
then he deliberately hit the off switch.
Yeah, not deliberately. No, I knocked it off with my knee.
Sounds like you did it deliberately.
No, I didn't.
You
I
didn't
can
want to
assure
sack
you.
him from the band. That's
Yeah.
what you did. Okay, Jezebel.
Well, if ever the devil was born without a pair of horns, it was you. It was you. It was you. Jezebel, it was you. Well, if ever the devil's plan was made to torment man, it was you. It was you. It was you. Jezebel, it was you. Well, if ever a pair of eyes promised paradise, deceiving me, grieving me, leaving me blue, Jezebel, it was you. Well, if ever the devil's plan was made to torment man, it was you. Jezebel, it was you. Should be better had I never known a lover such as you, forsaking dreams and all for the siren's call of your arms, Jezebel. Jezebel, it was you. Well, if ever the devil's plan was made to torment man, it was you. Night and day, in every way. Oh, Jezebel, Jezebel.
It makes me want to get up and, is it tango? Do you do your tango to that, Fred?
Yeah, tango.
A tango to that?
Yeah.
I mean, you were doing tangos up at the last drop, weren't you?
Well, we did everything. We did waltzes, quick steps, barn dance,
Yeah.
Old Lang Syne on New Year's Eve. We even had a recording of Big Ben for
Yeah.
12 o'clock. Everything was was really, really. It was like a finely tuned engine.
And you know, it that gives you such a great musical grounding, because you're playing rhythms there, that these modern time dancing and old time dancing. It's something I never knew existed, apart from, you know, all I knew was rock and roll. And then I went to as a club drummer, and you automatically you were playing velitas and you know, all sorts of stuff that I'd never heard of, and then you're getting into it and you're actually learning new rhythms on your kit, weren't you? And it giving you, and I found myself later on putting certain kind of these rhythms into me rock and roll drumming, and it certainly was a great grounding.
Well, I think that my background with my mum and dad playing for dancing along for years and years at Horwich British Legion, I used to go up, and you sort of heard all this anyway, and then you find it within a song or a tune, as it were, and it just becomes second nature. But at the Last Drop, we had to be so versatile, because obviously you can't ram rock and roll down someone's throat when they're having a 4-course meal.
Absolutely not.
So we played for listening, as it were, and then when the meals were finished, we played for dancing. But of course, we had to have a slow spot, and we had to have a bit of rock and roll, and a bit of Beatles and whatever.
Your highs and your lows and things like that. I know. So how long did all that last at the Last Drop?
Well, we were there probably about 20 years as the resident band. We did an awful lot of work away from the Last Drop. People would come along and want to book us, to take us to the Piccadilly Hotel at Manchester, or various other big functions, the Hunt Ball, for instance, and stuff like that. So at the end of it all, we tended to be part of the furniture, and we were a little bit, can I say, bored with it all.
Stale.
Yeah, we were stale. We used to learn new material just to keep the band fresh. Whereas we could have just played the same old stuff week in and week out, but we never did that. So we decided that maybe we should have one more shot at going on the road. So seeing as all the members of Streetlight had been in the detours at some stage, we went back on the road in 1990 as the Detours.
Right.
We went with the Cream Entertainment Agency based in Bolton. Tom Ivers is a very good friend of ours. He was also in a band in the 60s.
He was.
Played the bass in the Heebie-Jeebies. And we did a couple of bookings, we got good reports, and before we knew it, we had a diary full of work.
Fantastic.
Going on into 94, I think.
And that was about the time I bumped into you. You wouldn't know it, but I was in Standish Labour Club, and there was a band called the Detours on. I was encouraged to go down this particular night. Good band, these guys, go want to see them, Bill. And I went down, and it was great. And I remember Fred, distinctly remember Fred, who I've never clapped eyes on him before, with this trilby. Trilby did it. And this white drum kit. There's a memory. I can't believe I've got such a good memory. And then this tall guy stood behind this keyboard. Was that you, Norman?
No, Keith. Bill Davis.
Right.
Our guitar and singing.
Right. So it was a great night. And the club was packed. So
in fact, I've got a DVD of that.
So now then, I'm going to take you back now to your first love of music, and that, which is of course the Shadows and instrumentals and all of that. And the next track up is a particular favourite of yours, isn't it? And which of course you got the honour of recording, didn't you? What's this one, Fred?
This is a medley we did in Shazam as a tribute to the Shadows. It's got Apache, Wonderful Land. I can't remember the other one.
Oh well.
But we did it as a tribute. And everybody loved it.
Absolutely. So let's listen to the tribute to the Shadows. A superb bit of noise that is, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. Can't believe. Oh, well, that song came over. Your lead guitarist, what was his name, Fred?
Alan Johnson.
Alan Johnson.
Founder member of the Detours.
That's
his
right.
band, his name.
Yeah, yeah. And when you put Shazam together, was it Alan and yourself in the duo of
Yes,
Shazam?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Detours, when we went back on the road in 1990, we finished after about 4 years. The band split up.
Yeah.
We all went our separate ways. And then Alan got in touch with me and suggested that we form a duo, obviously using backing tracks, but I'd never played to a click track before in my life, and I was really inhibited at first, but of course with singing everything I found it a lot easier, so eventually I stopped listening to the click and I just played it from the heart, as it were.
I know what you mean.
Which was
Yeah.
great. But all the backing tracks, Alan Johnson plays everything on them. The
Right.
rhythm, the dual lead, the keyboards, the vocal backing is me and him,
Yeah.
done in his studio at his house in Chorley.
Yeah.
And obviously then I played live
Yeah.
drums to everything, and he
Yeah.
played live lead guitar.
I mean,
That's
it's-
Shazam.
It's a superb little CD, and
We were successful for 10 years.
yeah, yeah.
And
It faded out like, how did
Well,
that kind of come about?
it didn't fade out with a diary full of work, but Alan becoming regularly not very well, and I noticed on several occasions he was fumbling around the back of the mixer when he was setting up and making mistakes playing, only occasionally, but he never ever made mistakes.
Yeah,
And eventually he found out he had the early Parkinson's.
yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately we had to close the diary on New Year's Eve 2 years ago.
Right.
We had a diary
And that's
full of
all.
work.
That's only two years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Shazam, and we did that
Yeah.
CD that you're listening to.
yeah,
We used to sell it on the bookings. I've sent them all over the world.
yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, somebody put it on eBay.
Right.
Rang me up and said, could they sell it on eBay?
There you go. And I suppose if anybody out there listening who might want copies of
Yeah,
that,
just
Fred,
get in touch with you.
they can always get in touch with me through my website,
Yeah.
Lanky Beat, or lankycats.com,
Yeah.
lankybeat.com, lankycats, or bill@lankybeat.com is my email address. So,
Well, if they're
yeah.
into the 60s and you like what you've heard up to now, I'm sure they'll love it.
Oh yeah.
I've still got a few at home.
Well, I'm loving the going back to
Yeah.
that era, because I was a bit of a kid in short pants like you were, and we were just coming through, and we were heavily influenced by this new style rock and roll. I was thinking the other day that the rock and roll I started listening to, which wasn't rock and roll at all, was the musicals. The South Pacifics and the stuff like that, Oklahoma and the King and I. They were the kind of pop music of the day. And then all of a sudden this stuff called rock and roll started to be imported into the country via Elvis and you name it. And well, the rest of the say is history, don't they, Fred?
Yeah.
Since then, you've moved on to recent times, very recent times.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened last week.
Well, via Facebook I came across the Northwest Shadows Music Club. I knew about various Shadows societies, as you call them, that up and down the country.
Yeah,
And I saw this advertised in Leyland.
right.
And it's similar to Lanky Cats in terms of the backline amplifications provided
Yeah,
by a group called the Diamond Geezers,
yeah,
and the drum kits provided. And basically it's karaoke for Hank Marvin's. People come along with the red strats or the white strats or whatever, and they get a chance to play 2, 4 or 6 tunes. You put your name down and you can either play with the band, or you can either play to your own backing track, should you
right,
wish.
right.
So I went along. I didn't know anybody, but obviously I'm a Shadows fan, and they made me feel very welcome. That was at the beginning of this year. I got up, played a couple of tunes, then I went more regular and more regular. When the resident drummer was on holiday, I provided the drum kit as well for various other drummers to come along and play. And I've got really, really friendly with everybody. They're a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Shadows fanatics. And then we get someone who comes along and he'll sing a Cliff song.
Yeah.
You know, so you got Cliff and the Shadows,
Yeah.
as it were.
So how often is this happening?
This is once a month, the second Sunday of every month.
Second Sunday of every month, and it's in Leyland. Whereabouts in Leyland?
It's at the Rafa Club, RAFA
Yeah.
Club, which is virtually on the car park of Leyland Railway Station.
Well, that
So
should
if
be
you
easy
follow
enough.
the signs for the
Yeah.
station, there is the club right at the side.
Yeah.
And everybody's welcome. If you like the Shadows, if you want to play, come along and bring your guitar.
Yeah.
If you want to listen, just come along. Anyway,
Yeah.
there's a bar, there's tea, there's coffee.
So what time? What time
this
on
is
Sunday?
12 till 4.
So it's the afternoon
Yeah,
session,
and there's one this Sunday, the 13th.
and refreshments.
Yeah.
Okay.
there's,
What it cost me to come in, Fred?
Nothing.
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 Right. So and
It's free to watch, and if you want to play, it's £3.
oh, so you pay.
You pay
in
to
effect
play,
for
as it were.
pay to play. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
for the upkeep of the instruments and the people.
Yeah, of course. Someday, somewhere along the line, it'll be costing money. You can't put something on and it not cost anything.
No.
That's impossible. We found that out at Lanky Cats,
Yeah.
and that's why we charge everybody, including the musicians, £1
Yeah.
to get in, and that's it. And if they want to contribute to a raffle, great. It even adds more to our coffers. So,
Yeah.
and you're doing this for again for the fun of it. And do you get lots of Shadows fans coming in just to watch?
Yeah, a lot of people are a bit apprehensive at first. They want to come and see what it's about before they actually play anything.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, well-
they're more than welcome to do that. And within that afternoon, I got to know the Diamond Geezers,
Yeah. Yeah.
which are a band that's self-contained. That they do a few
Well,
gigs.
They've been down to Lanky Cats, the
Yeah,
Diamond
yeah.
Geezers, haven't you? And they
Yeah,
absolutely
very
they
good.
were a wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the resident drummer, Clive, a very good friend of mine, he decided he didn't want to carry on any longer.
All right.
And 2 weeks ago, Clive himself rang me and said, "Fred, do you want this job in the Diamond Geezers? I'm finishing."
So
now
you've got
I'm a
yourself.
Diamond Geezer.
You know, fantastic, fantastic
Yeah,
news,
so
Fred.
at my age, I'm still lugging my drums about playing live.
I think it's about talented and passionate blokes. What rock and roll is about. It never leaves you, does it, Fred?
No.
This stuff.
Well, like I said, we started off playing for nothing, and I'm playing for nothing now. 50 years later,
Yeah.
What have you lost? Nothing.
nothing.
But look at the friendships you've gained and all the experiences you had and the laughs and fun you've had.
It's an old joke, that, isn't it?
I know.
When I started on this business, I had nothing, and I've got most of it left now.
I love it. That's a belter. Exactly. You're saving that up, there you are. Right, we're kind of getting close to the end of the show. I'd like to thank you both exceedingly from the bottom of my heart, from my rock and roll passion to your rock and roll passion. Thank you very, very much for coming in, Fred Holt and Norman Kay. Thank you very much.
Will the cheque be in the post?
Yeah.
Will the cheque be in the post?
Yes, it'll be in. It's a blank cheque, of course. It won't have anything written on it. What we're going to do is play out, Fred. Tell us what the last track is, and
Well, the last track's going to be Move It. Every combination of personnel and bands, from the early days, Spectre 4,
Yeah.
to the Detours, to Streetlight, back to the Detours, to Shazam, to the Diamond Geezers, we're still performing Move It. Come on, pretty baby, let's move it and groove it. Shake it, baby, shake it, honey, please don't lose it. This rhythm that gets into your heart and soul. Let me tell you, people, it's called rock and roll. Well, they say it's gonna die, but honey, please, let's face it. They just don't know what's going to replace it. Well, ballads and calypso, they got nothing on. Real country music that just drives along. Honey, move it.
Hey baby, let's move it and groove it. Shake it, baby, shake it, honey, please don't lose it. This rhythm that gets into your heart and soul. Let me tell you people, it's called rock and roll. Well, they say it's gonna die, but honey, please let's face it. They just don't know what's going to replace it. Well, ballads and calypso, they got nothing on. Real country music that just drives along. Honey, move it. Well, ballads and calypso, they got nothing on.